Question number 10. Question number 10 says Q is equidistant from the sides of angle TSR. Find the value of x. Well, we know that if a point like Q lies on the angle bisector, then it is equidistant from the sides of the angles. So, given that Q is equidistant from the sides of the angle, we know that it lies on the angle bisector. If it lies on the angle bisector, then it divides this angle into two congruent parts. So 26 is equal to 3x plus 8. So we need to solve this equation. Subtract 8 from each side. 26 minus 8 is 18 equals 3x. Divide by 3, and x is 6. Now go back to your problem. It says find the value of x. So we've done that. Sometimes it will ask you to go back and find a length of a segment or a measure of an angle. So be careful that you are fulfilling the requirements of each question. Question 11 says that DF bisects angle EDG. So they're telling me that DF is the angle bisector. We're asked to find the value of x. Well, this time x is involved in a measure of these line segments. Remember that F lies on the angle bisector, therefore it is equidistant from the two sides of the angle. So 10x is equal to 7x plus 24. Solve your equation. Subtract 7x from each side. 3x is 24. Divide by 3. X is 8. Find the value of x, and we did that. Question 12. In triangle ABC, G is the centroid of the triangle, and BE is 12. Find BG and GE. Well, a centroid is going to be 2/3 of the distance from the angle to the side. So it's going to divide that segment, BE, into two parts, but they're not exactly the same size. In fact, this side, GE, is equal to 2 times the measure of BG. So here's what we need to do. We need to figure out what this has to be and this has to be in order for it to equal 12. Well, if you divided this side into halves, you'd have 3 equal parts, and the whole thing is 12. So if BE is equal to 12, then each of these segments would be equal to 4. BG is one of those segments, and GE is 2 of those segments. So BG is 4, and GE is 8. Number 13. Name a median. The median runs from the vertex to the mid-segment of the other side. So the median for this is DF. CH is an altitude. EG is an angle bisector. The answer for this problem is DF, that is the median. 14. Find the length of AB given that DB is the median of the triangle and AC is 42. Well, a median is going to cut these two in equal parts. If AC is 42, AB is half that amount. 21 is my answer for 14. 15. What is the negation of this statement? Miguel's team won the game. Negation would be Miguel's team did not win the game. Number 16, what is the inverse of this statement? Now remember, an inverse is where you negate the statement and you switch the parts. So the statement says, if he speaks Arabic, then he acts as the interpreter. So if you want to write that as an inverse, you're going to negate each part of the statement. The contrapositive is the one that negates and switches. The inverse only negates. I think I said that wrong just a few minutes ago. The inverse only negates. So if he does not speak Arabic, then he cannot act as interpreter. Number 17, list the sides in order from shortest to longest. Well, we remember that the longest side is across from the largest angle, the shortest side is across from the shortest angle, and the medium-sized angle is across from the medium side. So list them in order from shortest to longest. The smallest angle is 20, so KL is the shortest side. The next angle is 35, so JL is the next size line segment. The largest angle is 125, so JK is my longest side. Number 18 says, list the sides in order from shortest to longest. So 18, the smallest angle is 40, so JK is my shortest side. 48 is across from KL. And 92 is across from JL. Number 19, find the length of the mid-segment. Now look what they're asking for. They want the length of the mid-segment. What do we know about this situation? We know that it would take 2 of these to equal 1 of these. So 2 times 4x plus 2 equals 3x plus 29. So we need to solve. 8x plus 4 equals 3x plus 29. Subtract 8x. 4 equals negative 5x plus 29. Subtract 29. Negative 25 is negative 5x. Divide by negative 5. X is 5. But they want me to find the value of the mid-segment. So I've got to take that 5 and I've got to plug that in. So it's 4 times 5 plus 2. So my answer for this problem is 22. Number 20. Q is equidistant from the sides. Find the measure of RST. That's the measure of the entire angle, the whole thing. Well, Q is equidistant, so it lies on the angle bisector, which tells me that 5x minus 2 is equal to 3x plus 6. So I need to solve this equation. I'm going to subtract 3x from each side. 2x minus 2 is equal to 6. Add 2. 2x is equal to 8. Divide by 2, and x is 4. But I'm not finished with the problem because now they want me to find the measure of that angle. So I've got to plug that in. 5 times 4 minus 2. 20 minus 2 is 18. So this part is 18 degrees. 3 times 4 plus 6. 12 plus 6 is 18 degrees. So each of those small angles measures 18 degrees. So measure of angle RST is 36 degrees. 21. DF bisects angle EDG. Find FG. This diagram is not drawn to scale. If it's the angle bisector, then we know that n plus 8 is equal to 3n minus 4. Any point that sits on the angle bisector is equidistant from the sides of the angle. So I have n plus 8 equals 3n minus 4. Solve the equation. Divide by 2. N is 6, so we're going to plug in. 6 plus 8 is 14. 3 times 6 minus 4 is 18 minus 4. That's also 14. The question asked me for FG. FG has a measure of 14. 22. What is the name of the segment inside the large triangle? That is a perpendicular bisector. It is perpendicular to the third side and cuts it in half. 22. Write the conditional statement illustrated by this Venn diagram. This Venn diagram says, if an animal is a cow, then it is a mammal. 24 asks us to write the contrapositive. So we're going to have to write this statement, and then we're going to have to negate it and reverse it. So the statement would be, if an animal is a poodle, then it is a dog. The contrapositive would be for me to negate it and reverse it. So I would write, if an animal is not a dog, then it is not a poodle. Okay, so the contrapositive has me put the negative in and put them in a different order. 25. Two sides of a triangle have lengths 8 and 15. What must be true about the length of the third side? It must be less than their sum of 23, but greater than their difference of 7. 26. Identify the parallel segments. All of these segments, BD and DF and BF, are mid-segments. So this segment, BD, is parallel to this segment, AE. This segment, BF, is parallel to CE. And the last segment, DF, is parallel to CA. 27, given line AB is the perpendicular bisector of segment IK, name two lengths that are equal. Well, if that's perpendicular bisecting, we know that it's perpendicular. It's also cutting this into two equal parts. So IJ is congruent to JK. Those two segments are congruent. 28. To prove P is equal to Q using an indirect proof, what would your starting assumption be? To use an indirect proof, you start by assuming that this is false. P is not equal to Q. For an indirect proof, you start by assuming that the point you're trying to prove is false. So all you really do is negate that statement. You put a not in that statement. 29, can these three segments form the sides of a triangle? Well, the way they have them arranged, even though you don't know their lengths, you should be able to tell that B and C together are not as long as A. If you tried to close the triangle, you would have a gap in the middle. So these cannot form a triangle because the sum of the lengths of the two segments B and C would not be greater than A. The sum of B and C is not greater than A. Number 30. AC and BD are perpendicular bisectors. AC cuts BD in half, and at the very same time, BD cuts AE in half. So we have to find BC, AE, DB, and DC. So the first one is BC, the next one is AE. That's probably easy for you to find. That unit is 5. I've done that one. DB, that's the whole thing. Well, how long is EB? EB is 12, so the entire thing from D to B would be 24. From D to C. Okay, so I have a 5, 12, 13 triangle. 5, 12, this is also going to be 13. And this triangle is going to be the same as well. So it's 13 and 13. This concludes your review. Please go over this at least one more time. Good luck on your test.